The jungle never sleeps, even at 2 in the morning, when the wind dies down and the moon hides behind thick, damp clouds. The darkness breathes, alive with the clicking of insects, the distant cries of birds echoing too late into the night, and the low metallic hum of unseen life woven into the canopy of trees. The American Marines of the reconnaissance team Talon quickly learned that silence in the jungle is never truly quiet. It only changes its form. They were stationed at a temporary forward outpost, carved into the dense forest near the Laotian border during the final years of the Vietnam War. On military maps, the area was marked simply as thick vegetation and dangerous routes. But the men on the ground knew better. There was a sense of presence, something pressing against the mind, as if the very land itself remembered what had happened here. Sergeant Matthew Calder, call sign Atlas, stood at the edge of the perimeter, staring into the black wall of trees. The weak glow of a dying lantern behind him threw long shadows across the ground, stretching like hands reaching for something unseen. He rolled his shoulders slowly, trying to loosen the tension, and listened. He heard it again. A soft, dragging sound, not footsteps, but weight shifting through the leaves. Slow, intentional, not human. Calder raised his hand. The Marines along the sandbag line froze. Even Private Knox, the youngest among them, stopped fumbling with his rifle strap, eyes wide beneath his helmet. Radio communications were silent. The perimeter alarms did not trigger. Yet the sound drew closer. Branches were bending not from wind, but from some unseen force. "Probably a deer," someone whispered, though no one believed it. Deer do not move like that, too quietly, too purposefully. And they do not make insects fall silent all at once. The jungle went still. A chill swept through the Marines, veterans of ambushes and booby traps. Silence meant movement. Silence meant attention. Calder spoke softly into the radio. "Watch the trees. Fire only on confirmed threats." It was only the beginning. The villagers had warned them from the start. They spoke of an ancient being roaming the jungle borders and mountain passes. They called it the Forest Walker, a spirit formed from the souls of lost soldiers and old jungle guardians bound together. Sometimes it followed patrols. Sometimes entire hunting parties vanished. The elders said, "The jungle sends the creature to punish those who disturb the ancient land." The warnings were written off as fever-born legends and fear. But 6 weeks in, with the nightly sounds circling the camp, the stories no longer felt like fairy tales. Every night, at exactly the same hour, the Marines heard movement just beyond the reach of lantern light. Sometimes heavy and deliberate, sometimes fast and frantic, with branches snapping, as if fleeing something unseen. Perimeter cameras recorded nothing. Thermal scopes showed faint distortions that vanished before focus could lock. Private Knox broke first. During a moonless watch, he swore he saw eyes between the trees, too high and too far apart to belong to any animal. When the patrol turned their optics to the spot he pointed at, the reflections were already gone. Knox stopped sleeping. None of them did. Calder dreamed of something tall standing among tangled vines, faceless, its breathing like leaves crunching beneath marching boots. Then came the tracks. During a morning inspection of tripwires and sensors, Corporal Reyes found prints in the mud outside the perimeter. Massive, larger than a Marine combat boot, with elongated, uneven toes. No claws, no recognizable animal heel, only something human, oversized. Calder stared down at them. "That's impossible," Knox whispered. "Nothing that big moves that quietly," Reyes muttered. They photographed the tracks and transmitted them to command. The reply came swift and bureaucratic. "Remain alert. Avoid speculation. Continue observation." The following night, the perimeter lights began flickering, one by one fading out, as if the jungle were draining the power itself. Branches snapped inside the camp. Knox fired blindly into the darkness. There was nothing, only trembling leaves and the smell of damp metal. Third week, a three-man patrol crossed beyond the tree line. Reyes, Knox, and Morris. They did not make it 200 meters. Screams exploded over the radio, swallowed by static. Chaos followed. Calder led the rescue team. They found Morris shaking uncontrollably, weapon missing, eyes empty. Reyes lay bent over, his spine twisted at an unnatural angle, as if the jungle itself had crushed him. Knox was gone. Evacuation was ordered. The sounds came sooner now, louder. Heavy steps circled the camp, but whatever moved remained unseen. Then, the voice. "Help!" It sounded exactly like Knox. Then Reyes. Then Morris. Half a dozen voices overlapping in horror. The jungle was learning them. Calder burst forward with his rifle raised. "You don't belong here," he shouted. The voices ceased. Huge shapes loomed beyond the light, never fully revealed. A shockwave tore through the sandbags. Gunfire followed. Useless. Helicopters lifted them from the clearing. As they rose, Calder saw it at the forest edge, a towering silhouette. A pale, bone-colored face, shining eyes. It lifted one long arm and waved. Years later, Calder returned with a guide named Vin. The jungle had swallowed the old camp entirely. Sunlight barely reached the ground. At the former center of the outpost, there was a perfect circular scar where vegetation refused to grow. Movement stirred. Calder whispered the names of the fallen. Knox, Reyes. The shape stabilized, settled. Insects resumed their song. Birds returned to the canopy. The forest walker retreated into the shadows. Calder went home. At memorials and schools, he spoke of the cost of forgotten lives. In private journals, he wrote that the forest walker is memory given form, awakened when the fallen are remembered. Now it remains quiet, watching from afar, felt sometimes by veterans as a presence just behind their backs.